The 9/11 Commission, which was designed to find nothing that challenged the official story, said NORAD mistakenly sent jets assigned to guard the nation's capital to positions over the Atlantic Ocean. Well, that's a hell of a mistake, isn't it? An order by Dick Cheney to shoot down hijacked planes did not reach pilots until 30 minutes after Flight 93 crashed. I mean, you know, did the mobile phone system go down? I mean, what's going on here? No one was talking to anybody. The Commission said that FAA controllers lost track of Flight 77 for 36 minutes because of a glitch in the radar system. Isn't it amazing how everything went wrong at the same time? The FAA was slow to react and there was confusion about what to do. Well, it's amazing there's not confusion any other day of the bloody year when they're doing this as a matter of routine. This is what the hijack response regulations say, the official regulations. The escort service, sending jets up to escort the plane to the ground. The escort service will be requested by the FAA hijack coordinator by direct contact with the Pentagon Command Center. If you are in doubt that a situation constitutes an emergency or potential emergency, handle it as though it were an emergency. By the time this Flight 77 Pentagon plane was identified, 2 planes had hit the World Trade Center. Do you think that might just constitute an emergency? I mean, it's so bloody obvious what the game was, and it was so bloody obvious, therefore, the 9/11 Commission was about putting the lid on it. Now, I mean, it gets funnier. Not funnier in a funny way, but funnier in a, oh my God way. People think that the official story from the start was that they launched jets from Cape Cod to try to head off the planes going into the World Trade Center, and then from Langley to Flight 77. They think that was the official story from the start. Oh, no, no. On September the 13th, General Myers, the acting head, now real head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest uniformed position in the American military, he was asked on Capitol Hill when the order was made to launch jets in response to the hijackings of 9/11 2 days earlier. This is what he said. That order, to the best of my knowledge, he's the head of the sodding military. Did he not ask? That order, to the best of my knowledge, was after the Pentagon, Amos in there, was struck General Richard Myers. So what he was saying publicly was no jets were launched until the Pentagon was hit, when 3 planes had crashed into buildings. September the 14th, the day after that, CBS said that they'd learned, no, jets were launched from Cape Cod to meet the planes, or try to, that hit the World Trade Center. September the 15th, the Boston Globe went to NORAD and said, look, this is what CBS is saying, you launched from Cape Cod. No, said NORAD. We didn't scramble any jets until the Pentagon was hit. Then, miraculously, on September the 19th, over a week after the attacks, they issued a press release, NORAD, saying, actually, yes, we did launch from Cape Cod. And that is now the official story ever since. They made it up as they went along. And the reason they had to do that was not launching jets until after the Pentagon was hit was so ludicrous even for watchers of American and British television. Now, here's another coincidence. We had the exercise going on around the time that the Oklahoma bombing happened. What has come out since 9/11 is that on all days of all days, a series of exercises were going on September the 11th and some involved reacting to hijacked aircraft, airliners over American airspace, including one hitting a building. Just a coincidence, nothing to worry about. What they do is they put exercises on as a cover for what they're really doing. So if anyone gets caught, they were part of the exercise. And also people can be pulled into it thinking they are part of an exercise when really they're part of the real thing. It's very clear that when Kennedy was shot in Dealey Plaza, there were 2 CIA teams operating. One that was operating to kill him, and one that involved Lee Harvey Oswald was operating on what they thought was a fake assassination attempt to be blamed on Castro to justify an invasion of Cuba. This is why Lee Harvey Oswald realized immediately he was a patsy. He'd sussed what had gone on. And they had to kill him through Jack Ruby, another man connected into the gang, so that he wouldn't spill the beans. What was going on, as we'll come to, during the London bombings? There was an exercise at exactly the same places the bombs went off again. And this is what they do. And what happened in terms of the exercises on 9/11 is they scrambled and confused the reaction to the real hijackings, because people were saying, is this part of the exercise? Is this real? And the whole thing was scrambled. Exactly as planned. The top 3 people in the military are General Myers, head of the uniform level, the Defense Secretary Rumsfeld, and the Commander-in-Chief, George Bush, at the time of 9/11. So what were they doing while all this was going on? Well, George Bush was attending a school in Florida to talk about education. Kind of a contradiction in terms, but there we go. Now, just after, I was in a bar just after 9/11, which I tend to be, and I was watching CNN on the bar television, and they were live at a public meeting in Florida, which was George Bush's first town meeting after 9/11. And he was asked by a little boy called Jordan what he thought and what was going on with him at the time that the attacks were going on. Well, Jordan, he said, I knew immediately I had to act. Well, he never did that for a start. That's the last thing he bloody did. But then, wait for this. He said, I was at a school, he said, and they had a television, he said, and I saw this plane hit the World Trade Center. And he said, what he said, I've got the tape. He said, and I thought, what a terrible pilot. What he bloody said, right? Now, then he goes into the classroom, and then he's told about the second plane hitting the World Trade Center. Now, reel back, deep breath. The first plane hitting the World Trade Center was not seen live on television. It was only filmed by a crew doing a documentary on New York fire crews. Later, it came to light. The live one was the second one, and is in the classroom. What is he talking about that he saw the first plane hit? Impossible. Next morning, I buy the papers because I'm waiting for people to say, what's he talking about? Nothing. So, let's just, and also it's very clear, as I document in Alice in Wonderland, that he knew about all this stuff going on. Of course he did. He was told that these hijackings were underway. Even if he wasn't aware and in on the whole thing, I would suggest otherwise, but he would have been told as a matter of course that, hey, we've got problems with these planes. So he's saying that the first thing he knew about it was when he saw a plane hit the World Trade Center he couldn't have seen, and then said, what a terrible pilot. So let's just take them as far that he's the president and he now knows that a aircraft full of people has hit the World Trade Center. What does he do now? He goes into a classroom to hear a story and read a story about a pet goat. That's what his reaction is. This man was a hero after 9/11. There you go, Bush and the pet goat story. I like it. Good symbolism. So then, this famous picture, Andrew Card, White House Chief of Staff, comes in, and according to Bush, what Card's supposed to have said was impossible because Card was not talking to him for long enough to say it. So it's all a bloody lie. But anyway, what Card was supposed to have said was, Mr. President, America's under attack, another plane has hit the World Trade Center. What does Bush do now? The President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief, now knows that 2 airliners have hit the World Trade Center. What does he do? He sits there for another 20-odd minutes hearing a story about a pet goat.